Opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
The Treasure Coast longest-running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum. Get interested, get educated, get involved, and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
Hello, happy Thursday, and thanks for tuning in. My name is Noyana Pierre-Lewis, but you can call me Nono, and I'm here today with my co-host.
Hello, guys, it's John. You can call me John.
And you're listening to the Treasure Coast Forum on WSTU 1450, Martin County's Heritage Station. We are both students at South Fork High School and here in Martin County, and we're members of Youth in Government, which has offered us this amazing experience to be here and speak on this radio show today. So, John, turning it over to you, would you like to talk a little bit about Youth in Government?
Yeah, sure, no. Anyways, Youth in Government is a national youth in government program, which is a student-led organization that kind of mimics our system as a whole, doing executive branches, judicial, ledge. Students can create bills, memos, and potentially have them pass into state law and such. It's an amazing program.
Right. Any goals for this year?
Ooh, I think I want to make it to I want to get my bill passed.
Yeah, since
it's
you're
a
in
bit
ledge,
of a long
right?
shot, but
yeah. No, I believe in you. For me, Youth in Government is definitely an amazing program that I was introduced to by many friends and an amazing teacher. And in YIG, which is what we call it, I have been able to truly find myself and understand and really dig down into my passions, especially within this world and our place as the youth, since the Youth in Government program is a youth-run, youth-led, and legislative civics advocacy program that lets students express their voice. And it's an amazing program that both John and I enjoy so much. Moving on, throughout the show, I highly urge you all, especially you, Mr. Bob, who called in last week. I thoroughly enjoyed you calling in, so please do call again. And all of the Youth in Government children out there, please call our number, which is 220-WSTU. And if you missed that first round, I'll say it for you again, 220-9788. All right. So in order to replace temporarily the good, bad, and ugly, which Nick who would have been here, would always present, I'm going to bring in your news segment of Florida Man, which is awesome. I had some people within the Youth in Government leadership send in their birthdays. So starting with my birthday on November 30th from 2 years ago, 2018, a bungling burglar loses pants while breaking into Florida business. To give you a quick synopsis, a Florida man was caught on surveillance video at a car dealership breaking through a hole in the wall that he created with a fire extinguisher. The problem is he struggled to get through and lost his shorts in the process. What?
That's okay. This is a bit absurd. In my opinion, it's kind of like something out of a kid's book. You don't expect that to happen in real life. You don't expect a man, especially at a car dealership of all places. You would expect that maybe a McDonald's or something.
Right.
You don't expect somebody with a fire extinguisher to just burst through the wall. Just what do you respond to that with? Hello, how are you?
Yeah. Want to buy a Mercedes?
I don't know.
A birthday of the friend on the iconic day of 4/20, 2 years ago again in 2018, a Florida man was found asleep in Taylor Swift's bed, charged with stalking. To give you another quick synopsis on that, a Florida man faces charges after he allegedly broke into Taylor Swift's Tribeca home. Police said a witness reported seeing a man enter the building on Franklin Street around 12:30 p.m. John, I see you cringing over there.
Yeah.
When officers arrived, they found the ladder up to a broken window, and the man fell asleep in Swift's bed, police said. Investigators said he also used the shower. Uh-oh.
Okay, so I have multiple, problems with this. Not problems, I'm just, curious. I mean, for one, how? I mean, she's famous, she's really famous. There should be, security guards and stuff. You just see a man on the like cameras. You're just like, oh yeah, he has a ladder. What could go wrong?
Yep.
Next morning, he's asleep in the bedroom. I mean, he took a shower. He was definitely conscious. I mean, like, who does that? Who does that?
Honestly, and here's my second favorite one. So, on a friend of another birthday, February 3rd of 2019, wig helps lead to the arrest of a Florida man in a 7-Eleven robbery, deputies say. A Fort Myers man is facing a charge of an armed robbery after deputies searched his apartment, found a bundle of cash and a wig that he used as a disguise, authorities said.
This is just getting more and more absurd.
Right,
okay.
right? Only in Florida, guys. Only in Florida. So another birthday before we get to yours, John, which I'm very excited for.
This should be
March 23rd of 2015. Deputies say that a man high on both. I'm sorry, I apologize. Man on bath salts, headbutts vehicle and attacks a fire official. So he was high on bath salts. So a description of what happened was in that in Volusia County Fire Services Battalion chief was attacked by a man apparently high on bath salts. When the chief stopped to help a woman, the suspect had frightened by jumping on her vehicle hood and headbutting her windshield. Crazy.
Okay, this is just getting more and more insane. I mean, like, I didn't even know you could get high off bath salts. Like, how? Second, just like, even if you're high, just like, you headbutt a vehicle. I mean,
must have hurt.
Like, seriously, mate.
Oh, yes. And John, especially for you on your birthday. No. March 9th of 2019, I saved yours for last with a special surprise twist. A Florida woman, dun dun dun, who reportedly stabbed her Florida man for looking at a photo of another woman. So a pregnant Paso County woman was arrested for stabbing her boyfriend after he looked at a picture of another woman on his roommate's phone. Whew.
Okay, that just kind of like, you know the meme where it's the guy looking back at another girl? It's just like reminding me of that. Yes. I'm like, what on earth is this?
Only in Florida, guys. Only in Florida. All right, continuing on, looking into some of your topics, I am super excited to get into them. John, would you like to speak on hydroplanes?
Ooh, sure, actually. Okay, so speaking of which, the article is about hydroplanes. Anyways, I'm really happy to see that we've made so many technological developments, and we're moving towards like a much cleaner and friendly future since like last week we brought up pressing issues such as climate change and pollution. Some interesting things that I found like while looking into the article, just like it's the safest mode of transportation. On top of that, like I looked at a study and it was titled Commercial Air Travel is like safer than you think, published in January 24th of this year, in case you want to do further research, listeners. And it found that between 2008 and 2017, my bad, airline passenger fatalities fell significantly compared to the previous decade as measured per individual boardings. Essentially, the globally rate is now like 1 death per 7.9 million passenger boardings, compared to the previous of per 2.7 million boardings during the period of 1998 and 2007. I find that really good. I mean, just like the amount and just how we've come so far that just basically it's going to stop eventually. That put my minds at ease. But with this in mind, during like pre-COVID times, like as we all know, air travel is like number one. And I mean, number one, you want to go anywhere, you use air travel. It's pretty fun too. You just eat the peanuts.
Yep.
The peanuts.
Yep.
Tastes so good at high altitudes, mate. Ooh, okay. Anyways, they were extremely polluted by our environment though. And they took up so much energy, and then they released so much of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere as jet fuel. And the jet fuel runs on the increases the greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. And it's not good, and it actually badly affects our ocean, sadly.
Yeah, which is sorry.
No.
Continue.
Nah, I'm just happy that it's going to come in the near future, as stated in the article. It's going to be good.
Oh yeah. I mean, because we did talk about it last show about climate change, pollution. I mean, these uh, us as the youth, we don't I don't think we were able to live out long enough, or we haven't been here long enough to see
Yeah.
what the world was like before all of these things came in. I mean, I mean air travel could also be one of the safest ways, but we have to also take in consideration cars. In Florida, especially in Stewart, everybody's driving. It's not common where we see trains as a popular mode of transportation, such as within a city or a subway, or maybe even just like your average bus. Everybody has a car here. It's a necessity in order if you want to get to work, go to school. I personally drive a car everywhere, so it's one of those things where we're constantly using technology and machinery that harms our environment. And then when we bring in a new invention that could revolutionize this topic and truly just bring a change, it's so uplifting to hear. So I'm so happy you were able to bring that to light. But I mean, going into something else that you also talked about, we now have an Apple versus Ireland case going on.
Well, this technically like started and kind of ended 2 months ago. It's a bit absurd in my opinion. Anyways, there has been a recent development in the last 2 months between the massive Apple Corporation and Ireland, a country. What has happened is basically the second highest ranking court in Ireland ruled that it wasn't illegal for Apple to pay back the 4.8 billion that they owe through taxes, an absurd amount by my opinion. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar company that's just has that. Anyways, the original ruling back in 2016 was to get them to pay back their taxes, as they're using things such as shell companies and such, taking like complete advantage of the low taxes in Europe. Because if you just use that, you don't need to pay up the taxes. Anyways, to put this in perspective, like their tactics got them about a 0.05% tax break in Europe. And keep in mind, it's the Apple, one of the largest corporations in the building, doing this, not a small company. And just imagine like low tax breaks, and it's pretty popular. You're going to make so much money, and you're going to be avoiding so much tax money.
Mm-hmm.
I personally find this just absurd. I mean, just like countries like smaller than them, like Apple could be its own country if they really wanted to, because countries like some of them, like lower income countries, run on like less than they make in total. It's just absurd. But I'm also happy to report that the EU can overturn it to their highest court just to get it reversed. And I mean, like, so much can be done with money. Just so much. It's not a small amount either.
Yeah. And one of the things I heard, I may be wrong, so nobody quote me, please, but Apple constantly, I think, has a run-in when it comes to money. So one of the things being that if you have an older model cell phone, they'll push out updates that'll ultimately cause your phone to slowly stop working, or like be really slow, unusable, to the point where you are forced to get a new phone. At that extreme.
I actually didn't hear about that. From me, like from my perspective, also don't quote me on this. From what I heard from like other people in my friend group, was like Apple just stops updating your phone.
Yes.
Like it's too much for your phone to handle. Even if it's not, they'll just stop to force you to buy a new phone. Like, it's a crude tactic, but it's effective.
Oh yes. And I mean, you have celebrities all over the world marketing it. It's in movies. It could be something as simple as the main character sitting, and then they're using a Mac.
Or like even in the background, like have a Pizza Hut logo or something like on a sign back in the background.
So I mean, I understand where you're coming from, because Apple is highly marginalized. Everybody recognizes what it is. So hopefully something can be done about that. Yeah, and then something else that you brought to mind, which I absolutely loved, the robot servers in Seoul. Amazing. Please tell me more about that.
Okay, so recently, this one actually just kind of struck a chord with me. Recently in Seoul, there was Okay, anyways, there is a
continue
recent
on.
development where an AI server is being used like a waiter instead of a server. And like I would like to help you guys visualize, it's kind of like a black standish like thing with trays on it for food or drink to put on it, simply equipped with an LCD screen. It's a poor description, but if you look at the picture, trust me,
Yes,
you cannot
please.
find a better way to
Please look
depict
into it. It's amazing.
It does look pretty cool though.
Yes.
Anyways, this robot was made by the South Korean company called KT Corps by their AI business. Anyways, it's called Algo Kim. I probably mispronounced that. I'm sorry for butchering it. Anyways, it can communicate to people in both Korean and English, carry about 30 kilos, has mapping of the store, and is able to navigate around customers in the area, which is extremely useful. Customers won't have to dodge it or anything.
Mhm.
Anyways, I really do think it's quite amazing how like the world's coming out with like solutions and such as the pandemic's like continuing to going on and then just like furthering, just like stopping it.
Mhm.
It's also said that that a new AI is also being made that'll be released earlier next year, and it'll have voice recognition, which is like it's pretty cool. It's like really cool in my opinion.
And I think I even heard with these robots, they can even serve up to like 4 tables,
Yeah.
which is absolutely amazing. Oh, and really quickly, oh, Mr. Welch is on the line. Let's hear from our lovely teacher.
Oh,
Of course.
hello.
Yeah, hi. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I am doing so well, Mr. Welch.
Yeah, appreciate you talking about apple orchards. We had apples in our backyard too.
Really,
I
really.
lived up north.
Can I make a phone out of your apple orchards?
You sure can. Remember, we had a phone hooked on our wall, and I didn't get the TV until I was 7. So, I've got an old 7, Apple 7. It's still working like a charm.
Oh.
My wife's 8 is a piece of garbage.
Yep,
Oh.
yep.
So I don't know. Like you say, every time they do an update, it just sort of screws up your phone, and they got to buy a new one. But I have the higher memory on there. I don't know if that helps or not.
Higher memory, I think it does help out with the conditions, since your phone can handle a lot more.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So you guys sound great tonight. I told you I was going to try to get on, and
yes.
I'm watching you. I love the mask. Nice look. But I'm very proud of what you guys are doing, and you sound good together.
Mhm.
And
Thank you.
Nick wasn't able to make it tonight.
We are all hoping, praying, wishing for him, sending blessings, prayers, and a whole bunch of love towards him so he can do well in his SATs. He's
Oh, that's
currently
good.
studying really hard.
Oh, that's good. That's
Mhm.
good. So, what are the subjects you're going to hit tonight?
Ooh, I can't spill the beans on that one, or the
let's talk
apple
about
orchids.
Apple
So,
orchards and beans.
yep.
That's the
Good
farm
combo.
report going on.
You never know.
So I hope you stay tuned in. Maybe you can call in again and talk about the other topics that, I have in store. I appreciate you so much for calling, Mr. Welch. That means a lot to me.
Well, I'm very,
And John,
very proud
too.
I'm
Yes.
very, very proud of both of you. And we're going to have a great year this year. Youth in Government's up and running. We're going to be reaching out even more, and we've got some great things in store. So,
All
okay,
right.
I'll talk to you guys at another time. All right.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
All right. And then, so continuing on, those robot servers. Although I like the idea so much, I'd like to hear your opinions on this, since a lot of people, although they are all for technology, they are very hesitant on what place robots will have in our world today as well. I mean, replacing our jobs, since like we were just talking about, they are very efficient, and they can serve 4 tables. How a person that might take a little bit more energy. So, which with technology coming out like this, how might that affect our country? To say, just thoughts, ideas, opinions.
Well, personally, like I do think it's going to be a good thing, but I don't think it's going to replace like people in like restaurants like entirely. I mean, you're not going to walk into a restaurant and then always want to be served by a robot. or
Mhm.
anything like that sort. It's just we like humans. We don't like just seeing a robot or something.
Mhm.
Just serve us. We want social interaction with another human being. I don't think it's anything to worry about entirely, though.
I think so too.
The robots like will help us develop maybe in like food sector, business, like such as calculating statistics and such, which is
Mhm.
already in the process. I don't think it's going to replace humans entirely out of the equation.
Neither do I. We are very social creatures. And also, with something as mundane as this, although it's something we can always look at and enjoy and just be in awe that we are able to create and bring to the world these amazing technologies and devices, we still understand that there's nothing better than having an amazing waiter who can give us our food, make us laugh, crack a few jokes, and everything like that. So yeah, any finalizing thoughts before we head into our break?
Ooh. Well, this wasn't in like our sections for today.
Mhm.
Anyways, there was like I was reading up on one of the articles, so don't quote me on this. I didn't look into it that hard like the
Mhm.
other ones. One of the companies that I was looking at, they were saying they were going to make like they were going to present a new robot that was a cook kind of. It could produce about
Oh.
400 pizzas per hour, which I found completely insane. Just I mean like the sheer magnitude of that, just like 400 pizzas per hour.
Right.
I mean, just like it's efficient, it's super efficient, but I mean, it just leaves me in awe that a machine could do that. I mean, just like you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I think so. I'll have to look into it too, but
Like I
That-
just find it amazing.
that sounds amazing. It does. I wonder what kind of technology, especially with the youth being so prevalent. And I'm looking at my peers in my classrooms and even online, the things that we are able to come up with and craft together. The things, what I really hate to see within our society is how the lack of coming together and being able to create and make something beautiful in our world, even if it's like we were just saying, something as simple as Algo Kim that can bring light into something as dark as the virus.
Yeah.
Like, imagine what we all could do if we just came together and were able to be respectful and mindful and understanding of other people's ideas, intentions, goals, and life purposes and
Yeah.
their inventions, you know? So yeah. Anyways, we're heading into our break, so grab a snack, a drink, chillax for a bit. Don't forget you're listening to WSTU 1450, the Treasure Coast Forum. And if you'd like to call in, talk a bit about what we talked about going into the future, we may be talking about a daredevil leap, some
Okay.
incarcerated firefighters. Maybe if you have time, going a little bit more into the technology sector. And like I said, if you want to call in, the number is 220-WSTU. One last time for those of you who missed it the first time, 220-9788. Anyways, stay tuned for what's coming up next, and we shall see you in a bit.
Bye.
welcome back to the second half of the Treasure Coast Forum on WSTU 1450. My name is Noyana, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hi guys, it's John, and I'm John.
And remember to call in if you have anything to say here. We respect your opinions, and we would love to hear from you. Thank you again, Mr. Welch, for calling in. We really appreciated it. And yeah, if you want to be like that too, the number is 220-WSTU. And one last time for those of you who missed it the first time, 220-9788. And continuing onwards, I have something very interesting for you all. So, while I was doing research for this week, I found out that a man named Alan Park was charged in a daredevil leap across Fort Street Bridge in Detroit, Michigan, which was crazy, actually, since I viewed this as a little bit more comical, a current event, as the article I was looking off described it as their synopsis was a 26-year-old man, Miguel Gomez, is accused of striking and driving through the bridge's security gate at a high rate of speed. The bridge's security gate was not fully lowered, and the vehicle went airborne before landing on the other side of the bridge. The incident was described as something straight out of the 1970s television show, The Dukes of Hazzard, which opened up the driver of an orange 1969 Dodge Charger jumping 82 feet with the vehicle into midair, according to Detroit News. So I was hysterical when I found this out in my Spanish class at like 9 o'clock in the morning, because I've never heard of this before. And like the article described, it is something that came straight out of a TV show. And then doing a little bit more research, I asked them, and I was asking my teacher and everybody, is it truly illegal to jump a bridge? It is. Please don't. Please don't. Because actually, under Michigan State Statute, Section 750.167, under 1F, a disorderly person is anyone who is engaged in an indecent or obscene conduct in a public place. So doing such a thing, you could be charged for disorderly conduct. So please do not do this ever. But I just thought it was really interesting. Like, John, any comments, any thoughts, please?
Okay, so wait, let me give me a sec. Okay, so when you first were describing, I was picturing a hot rod or something just jumping over a bridge, or something out of the Lego movie, just crashing into a barrier and then hopping a bridge. It's just it seems too good of comical content to be real, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it amazing how there has to be a section dedicated to this type of stuff. Just because
I was truly wondering, was this man really arrested for just jumping the bridge? And I mean, I was looking under Michigan State statute and law and whatnot, and the only thing I found that was directly related to any form of bridge jumping was the type of jumping that you would do going straight into the water. So that's illegal. You're not supposed to jump off a bridge into the water for fun, which is often seen in your teen beach, coming of age movie, which I found very interesting. I was like, oh, and I mean, I hope this is not something that's common at all. Oh, so I was truly just wondering. I hope that this is not common at all, and it's so interesting to me. And even within the article, even said that COVID-19 has brought out the most wildest drivers that we have ever seen. So,
oh yeah, recently I just see videos. I sometimes check Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
I just see 2 a.m. in just Korea or something, and then it's just a Ford GT going 100 miles per hour on a desolate street, and I'm just who has the time for this? Just you just wake up at 2 a.m. and just I'm just going to drive 100 miles per hour.
Yep.
Just...
Oh well. So in the future to come, when approaching a drawbridge, I know in Florida we do not have that many, but please be safe. And lastly, drive in an orderly manner so you are not losing money, since it was about $3,000 this man has to pay for a personal bond. So you're not fined for disorderly conduct, hazardous conditions, obstruction of the peace, please. Now, segueing into our caller, Mr. Bob. I am so glad to hear you from you.
Hello.
What do you have to talk about today?
No, this is Joe Biden. I was told that I approved this message. So no, nobody calls me Mr. Bob. My great nieces and nephews call me Uncle Bobby. My beautiful granddaughter, who's conservative, believe it or not, she's 13. She calls me Papa Bob. And
Aw.
but yeah, so Mr. Bob, that's a little strange to me.
Oh, well, I just say that out of respect for you. Also, you will not believe how many Joe Biden and Trump commercials I get on a day-to-day basis. Isn't that crazy, Mr. Bob?
Oh yeah, but this isn't the worst. I mean, years before, I mean, God, you couldn't turn on the TV. I'm getting so tired of the lawyer commercials and the political commercials and everything else. But you know, they got to do it, I guess. You know, so. What are you going to do?
I actually have a question for you. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about, you know, the media just constantly pushing and pressuring, you know, people to vote? I mean, also going into that, do you think our vote really matters in this country, especially having the Electoral College being a thing after all?
Well, I'm on the radio. Come on in. Oh, no, I'm good, thanks. It's my neighbor.
No problem, no problem.
He's going to Lowe's. He wanted to know if I need any building supplies. Yeah, voting is very important. It just scares me that I think too many of our young people have been indoctrinated by our public school system. And I think your school system in Martin County is a lot better than ours in St. Lucie County.
It is,
but,
sadly, so sadly.
Yeah, it is. It's always seemed to be run much better than St. Lucie County. But, you know, yeah, it's important. You know, I don't think everybody should vote until they really know what they're doing.
Exactly.
You know, there was a lot of talk this week on some radio shows, national shows, about grandparents calling in and saying, I'm afraid to talk to my kids because they've been taught, you know, so many things in public school. And I don't want to have my kids saying, I can't talk to my grandchildren anymore or this or that. You know, hey, you gotta talk the truth. I hate to say this, but I have the coronavirus. I think one of the best things is we got a lot of these kids in this country away from public school system.
Well, let me ask you this, because speaking from personal experience, I personally, a lot of my teachers have been very hesitant to share their opinions on voting or even politics. I mean, I had one teacher who was really passionate about the Black Lives Matter movement, and she wanted us to do a segment on it, but it was completely shut down to the point where she just had to change it to social justice. So, I mean, I think maybe it's because we are in different counties, which is why I'd love to hear, like, maybe if you could go into a little bit more detail on where is this coming from, this indoctrination? Since here in Martin County, I've never once been influenced. The only time I could remember was in 8th grade, where my teacher just told us to all be educated, and he thoroughly explained his reasons for voting whoever he voted for. And he said, you know, he thoroughly took time on the internet to research, to truly understand. And he said, as the youth, as people of the youth, we should be always open-minded, always really look. So, for example, with this current upcoming election, look at Joe Biden. Look at his values, look at his morals, look at what he's promising the country, look at what he's promising, especially me as a Black person, what is he promising for the Black community? And then look at Trump's values, look at his morals, look at what he's done, look at what he promises the country, what he promises the Black community, and make an educated decision going into the polls. So,
well, you know, Donald Trump, like him or not, he's done more for and the numbers were there before the coronavirus. We had the perfect storm, the coronavirus, and then they refired up Black Lives Matter, which started in Ferguson, Missouri. It seems like the most recent, the big ramping up, where they said this Michael Brown, or what his name was, that he put his hands up, said don't shoot and all that. And there was witnesses of his same color, you know, that were in the jury trial, and they said no. He did not only did he not put his hands up, he went in after the cops opened his door and went in on him and tried to grab his pistol. So, on the mainstream media, you still don't see that. So even if you're not getting in school, hopefully not, But if you are getting a one-sided liberal view in school, in the public school system, because the NEA is basically, they've been going very liberal lately. I've worked for a lot of older teachers that passed away, most of them, and they can't believe what kids are being taught in the schools today. Kids ought to be able to come out of our schools, instead of indoctrination, they ought to be able to come out of school job ready, whether it's vocational or whatever their deal is. They do in Japan and whatnot. And like you said, we're going more towards all this new robotic and technology and everything else. But they ought to come out, if they want to be a doctor or something that takes more years of college. But when you go to college, you shouldn't be taught Shakespeare or English lit or all these courses that are not going to get you a job. And you can do anything online anymore. So I don't know. I kind of like the online deal. And I know you need the social interaction and all that. But when you're wearing a mask and you're at the prom and you can't get 6 feet from your date, I mean, what kind of social interaction do you have?
I have one last question for you, Mr. Bob, before I let you go, and that is, what I just how would you, or where, since like I said, coming from this point of view, I've never experienced somebody pushing their views on one side.
There's a lot of good public schools. There's a lot of good districts in this country, but overall, take Obama. And when he, D.C., they've been wanting to become a state. Well, in his first term, he was letting them have the lotteries for the school choice.
Okay. Not to get too political here.
African-Americans were lining up. They wanted it. And then after he knew he won the second term, that went away, because the NEA has a huge, huge hold over this country right now. And like I said, my teachers, I wish I did better in school, but I had businesses going when I was in high school. So I wasn't really looking to go to college. And but they taught us American history. They taught us this. They taught us that. We did, even back then, we spent too much time on English lit or whatnot. But
I apologize to cut you off here, but I just to give you one last moment, just one last thing to speak, and please, make it really quick. If you could say one thing to the youth that could possibly educate them and make them a lot better to be the future makers of tomorrow, what would you tell them? How would they be able to get the right information that they need without being biased and without being fed fake news?
Well, listen to all the news networks. Like I said last week, and a lot of kids are warned, don't listen to Fox News, which is the biggest news channel in the country. They're told not to listen to Rush Limbaugh. They're told not to do this. So when you come home from school, if you do come from a school where it's very biased, and there's many of them, especially in the inner city, that are not doing well, then you come home and you're amplified by what you see on ABC, BS, NBC, CNN, all those people. I mean, they're pretty obvious now. They used to try to hide their affiliation. Now they're going full out. They mean business.
All right. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time today.
You guys do a great job. You have a great presence on the radio, young lady, and gentleman there.
Oh, thank you very much.
They say a lot of people fear public speaking more than death. I never understood that. I would stand up in school and make up a verbal report.
I love your voice. I appreciate everything you have to say all the time. Please, please, please call in next week. I would love to talk to you again. Thank you so much for speaking. I appreciate it, truly.
You guys have a great week.
All right, you too. Stay safe. All right, moving on. So I have an interesting topic for you guys this week in order to finish off. And it's about our formerly incarcerated firefighters. And this article was actually painting a really nice narrative into it, saying that they are getting the jobs and pay that they deserve, which is interesting, as it prefaced that in 2014, Brandon Smith, unemployed but trained as a wildland firefighter, applied for upwards of 15 positions at a local and state fire department in California. Qualified for the work after 2 years of firefighting, he nearly spent 18 months fielding rejections, not because of his credentials, but because he couldn't pass a background check. One of the local departments offered him a job, but then reincited it when it had become clear that he had a criminal record. He had been incarcerated. So to overcome these systemic barriers, Smith and fellow wildland firefighters Royal Remy founded the Fire and Forestry Recruitment Program, aimed at training and helping formerly incarcerated people to find employment as firefighters. Now, before I go into it, I strongly believe in prison reform, which I will go into in a few minutes here. But I did look into this fire and forestry recruitment program, and I deem it something safe and reliable that you can donate to, since it does clearly state on their website where all the money is going into. I think it shows great proof of what they are doing, since I truly do believe in second chances, and I will go into that later. So if you have the same opinions as me, I suggest, if you would like to support the cause, especially with how crazy the wildfires are in California. I mean, prayers are being sent out. I know churches and organizations are gathering together to obviously support the firefighters and the incarcerated firefighters that are putting their lives at risk, handling the situation over there. So if you do want to support, I suggest you check out the website. Do your own research into it, of course, and be mindful of what this website may entail. But I do deem it as a reliable source of an organization that you can donate your money to and truly see your money's being put somewhere that deserves it. So continuing on, I'd like to hear your thoughts of these incarcerated firefighters, because although they are not affiliated with this program, I did a little bit more research to it, and the words of Amika Mota are worth considering, as she writes, "I am proud to have served on my firefighting crew. The experience gave me a chance to grow as a person and as a first responder. As a lead engineer, I earned 37 cents an hour, $56 a month. I didn't fight fires for the money. I didn't do it to have additional time shaved off my sentence, which I wasn't eligible for because of my crimes. I did it because it made me feel like I was contributing to my state and a part of the community around me," which is so interesting, because when speaking upon the subject with my peers to get their opinion on our treatment of incarcerated civilians within our society, we all seem to come to an agreement that the way our justice system is and the way we treat prisoners all throughout our country is wrong. I mean, stated before, I stand for prison reform, and the fact that it may give hope and a second chance to those who are incarcerated and allow them to come back into our society. I mean, what I've noticed talking amongst many other peers is that there's this cycle of dehumanization when it comes to those who have done wrong. And I would like to see a future where, possibly with maybe this election or the rise of like-minded individuals who just want to see a change, and possibly create a future where these people can come out and they can create a new path of life for themselves. So there isn't that detachment. And one of the arguments that was mentioned to me is that, what about the people who will take advantage of this opportunity? What if we truly do establish a program that does good, that allows these people to see their mistakes, their flaws, do right, and walk a new path and be able to come back to society? I mean, because after all, we have to be honest, prison is a completely different ball game, physically, mentally, emotionally. So it's hard. It is hard to adjust back into this type of life, and especially given their backgrounds, where they come from, the reasons why they do what they do. These are all many factors that, I mean, I can say I personally don't have to worry about, but we have to be mindful of those things. And when speaking about this, they did say that, what if there's people who take advantage of that and they manipulate it and they find ways to just get out of an early sentence out, or pay their time off early because of these programs, and then they go out and do more harm into the world? And I looked at that and I was like, that's a fair argument. It is true, since there are people in this world who will never change, and that's a sad reality that we all have to face. But at the same time, I still believe in second chances, and I do see this as an all for nothing. I mean, would you risk the possibility of transforming one life for the better, that can use their platform, their experiences, to enlighten the youth, alongside with the possibility of somebody else also taking advantage of that situation? Or should there just be no change? either way you see things are, I do believe that there's always room to grow. An example I'd like to give um, of this is that there was a notable person that I found who I admire, since I'm very passionate about law and criminal justice, which is why I do want to work within the criminal justice field. And this person was an ex-criminal who had completely turned their life around, and their name is Daniel Manville, who spent 3 years and 4 months in prison for manslaughter. While incarcerated, he earned 2 college degrees during his sentence, and after his parole, he went to law school. He is now recognized as a strong advocate for civil rights and the rights of prisoners. He taught at Michigan State University College of Law, but when I was doing further research, I couldn't find where he is today. But he is one out of the many people who have changed and have used their experiences to create a better future. He is a voice, and the fact that he's teaching law is even better, since I think personally he would have those background experiences to bring to the classrooms, to bring to the students of tomorrow, who would be able to truly just understand and see from their perspective how, it's a completely different battlefield. It's a completely different game that we're playing on, and I just find that really empowering. So for these last few minutes, John, would you like to add anything to this?
Well, Noyana, I do really agree with your opinions, actually. Like, I
Mhm.
find it amazing and, like, inspiring how just, like, there's a program that blatantly and openly accepts, like, like, people that have been convicted of, like, felonies, crimes and stuff. I
Mhm.
find that amazing that they're helping them find, like, employments and stuff, such as, like, being a firefighter. Because, I mean, like, the world, like you said, isn't really fair to, like, criminals. Like,
Mm-mm.
in other countries, such as, like, in Asia, if you're even related to a criminal, you will be shunned by society. It is not fair in the US if you have, like, a criminal parent or something. Society will look down upon you, and I find it just sad. Like, you could have a bad parent. Like, there's so many examples of, like, people coming from bad homes
Mhm.
and then just turning into, like, multinational billionaires and stuff. It's truly inspiring. I'm happy that, like, something like this program is, like, installed. Just, like, it makes me proud that there's, like, things like this. And, like, I do I do agree with, like, the potential flaws of, like, people taking advantage of systems
Of
and
course,
such.
of
Like,
course.
but, like, kind of like your example, like, if there's one good apple in just, like, a batch, you'll take the good apple along with the bad.
Mhm.
Just, it can be so good for society, but you'll have to accept the bad. Like, you could have a younger brother, but, they're going to steal a cookie from you every
Yeah,
now and then.
yep.
Just like I had a friend, just like, oh yes, give me that piece of carrot or something
Yeah.
at lunch. Just like,
Mhm.
you accept the good with the bad. Like, there's no way you can advance in this society without, like, going forward. Like, even in the technology department, you could do Java, or you could have, like, C+ or something.
Mhm.
Like, some things it could move faster with Java, but it would be more, like, it could retain more data with, like, C+.
Yeah.
You need a balance.
Yeah. And it's through like experiences and seeing those setbacks where we can always go towards a future where things are improved. And for these last closing thoughts, I am very proud to say that when looking into Florida's Department of Corrections, I was looking through their recent reports, and I was happy to see that they are taking care of lots and lots of inmates, prisoners, felons, and whatnot. And I'd have to do more research, but I see it as, at least we're taking a step forward, since I did also see on the bad side that Governor DeSantis took away at least $28 million for the treatments. I think we talked about that a few
Oh,
weeks ago.
yes, we did.
But from the prisoners, which is saddening to see. But like I said, we have to take those step forwards, those step backwards in order to create a much better future. So that is all we have for you today. I truly do appreciate you for coming in and really just and just and just being here with us. Any last thoughts on that? Any last on incarcerated?
I agree entirely with just like a
Yeah.
separate program or such, like helping them
Yeah.
move forward. And I completely agree with just giving people a second chance. Like, even society, like, some people will do bad things inherently, such as like taking a slice of cake. We're not perfect beings. it's just, I think it's right. You can't just have somebody be a perfect student and then have like a 99 and say, no, you're
Yeah.
out.
All right, really quickly, just to cut you off, since I have a question here. Really quickly, for those of you who'd like to look into the website and possibly donate, it is called, I do not have the link, but the program is called the Fire and Forestry Recruitment Program. I highly suggest you look into it. I would donate to it if I had money, but yes, please do. Let's support our fellow Californians over on the other side of the country. So yes. Oh, and also with COVID, let's get together. Let's find a way to help out people. Let's find a way to look into our prisoners, since especially within my church, I see the change, which is why I feel so strongly about this. I see how people do come together and they go into these prisons and they allow people to take that step forward and just turn their lives around, which is beautiful. It's very beautiful. Something we need to appreciate. All right. That is truly all the time we have today. And we have come to an end. I hope you really did enjoy this week's topics, as this is a lot more laid back and fun. And as always, we are here every Thursday from 5 to 6. Remember, you're listening to the Treasure Coast Forum on WSTU 1450. I'm Noyana and my co-host,
John.
And happy Thursday, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.